HarperCollins and HarperAudio present Grave Danger, a Jack Swyteck novel by James Grippando. Performed by Jonathan Davis. For Tiffany. Prologue. Tehran, October 2022. Ava Bazi hurried across Keshavarz Boulevard in the center of Tehran, her daughter's tiny fingers clamped tightly in her own. The asphalt was warm beneath the thin leather soles of her tan pumps, and the sidewalk was even hotter. A headscarf would not have been her personal preference on this unusually warm autumn morning, but religious law required it. The Bazi family, Ava, her husband Farid, and their 4-year-old daughter Yasmin, had been living in London since Yasmin was an infant, so the return to Iran was a bit of an adjustment. Still, it wasn't the way her friends in London thought, all with the Western misconception that black was the only acceptable color for head coverings. Ava favored fashionable and colorful compliance with the Islamic Republic's modesty laws. A yellow scarf with a hint of jasmine flowers, capri pants cut just above the ankle, and a loose-fitting silk blouse with 3/4-length sleeves, a neckline that showed no cleavage, and a tail long enough to cover the curve of her behind. The street vendors were in good spirits, singing and calling out to potential customers. The familiar aroma of thick black coffee wafted from a small cafe. Some things in Tehran never change, but so much of what Ava remembered from her childhood had become almost unrecognizable. Keshavarz was once a tree-lined boulevard of pristine beauty and elegance, home to the elite of the Islamic Republic. But now, many of the magnificent trees had been cut down, and the grandiose buildings had been turned into government offices and classrooms. "You're hurting my hand, Mommy," said Yasmin. Ava was squeezing too tight for sure. It was an overreaction to the more worrisome changes she'd noticed on her return from London. Barely a month had passed since the arrest of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman who'd committed the crime of showing her hair in violation of the modesty laws. Her senseless death in custody, at the hands of the brutal morality police, triggered worldwide outrage and mass protests across the country. The Iranian regime's ruthless crackdown on demonstrators only fueled further protests. Right on Keshavarz, not far from Yasmin's school, 16-year-old Nika Shakarami had joined street protesters and was last seen being shoved into a police van. 10 days later, the morality police delivered her battered body to her family, claiming that Shakarami had committed suicide by jumping off a building. Soon after, Sarina Esmailzadeh, also 16, was bludgeoned to death with batons by security forces at a protest in Karash. The crackdown then moved from the streets to the classrooms, as security forces raided the Shahid Girls' High School in Ardabil and demanded that a group of students sing a pro-regime song. 16-year-old Asra Panahi refused and was beaten to death. Human rights groups estimated that since Amini's arrest on September 13th, victims of the regime numbered in the hundreds, and the murder of schoolgirls had every mother in Iran worried sick, including Ava. "Walk faster," said Ava. "I can't go any faster," said Yasmin. An old woman dressed in a black cheroot passed Ava on the sidewalk, clicking her tongue in disapproval of the younger woman's interpretation of modest attire. A rectangular opening in her black veil revealed only the woman's eyes, though in just that passing glance, Ava felt the weighty glare of an entire society.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?